Namaste friends, welcome to YogaCandi. My name's Candace and today I'm going to be showing you my top 5 yoga exercises for hip love. So if you have tight hips, whether you're male or female, this is going to be great for you because I'm going to give you some different variations in each pose. So we're going to begin. Oh, and before we begin, also all you're going to need is a really thick cushion, maybe something off your sofa or off your bed. The other thing is a yoga strap, or use it improvised, maybe use a rolled up towel, a scarf, something like that. Okay, so let's start off in our cobblers or butterfly pose. We're going to be bringing our heels together, so the soles of the feet together. Draw the heels of the feet towards the crutch, as far towards the crutch as you possibly can. You can always take this to a wall. Now this may be better if you are very tight in the hips. You can lean your spine against a wall, or you can even just take your hands behind your spine and sit up nice and tall. Your hips may be up here, maybe your knees are up here, sorry. Then that means that you've got very tight hip flexors, and this video is going to be fantastic for you to keep returning to because you will eventually get lower and lower and lower. Okay. So wherever you are today, if you have the flexibility like I do and you can hold onto your feet and you can lean forward, we're just going to start off by warming up the hips a little bit. So we're going to flap the wings of the butterfly. If you can only lean back and maybe lean your back against a wall, see if you can get any movement in the knees. If it's very uncomfortable, then just stay still and concentrate on breathing nice and deeply into the stretch. So if you're flapping the butterfly, then close your eyes and we're just going to flap for a moment, getting those hip flexors nice and warm. This is one of my favorite hip openers because it can be gentle, it can be deep, it's totally up to you. Now you can start to speed up the flap of the wings. Maybe making it bigger, maybe making them smaller, totally up to you. Just listen to your body, tune into the body. Try to keep your breaths nice and deep and long in and out of the nostrils. And then when you find a nice point where you think, I think they're a little warmed up, then we're going to start to just lean forward. For those of you that can't lean forward, just stay where you are. For those of you that can lean forward, we're going to start to spread the toes open, so opening up the feet like a book. And you're welcome to just walk your hands forward and perhaps stay here. Or maybe you can come down to the forearms. Eventually you may be able to bring your whole chest and head down to the ground. This is as far as I'm going to go today. So wherever you are in each of these poses, we're all going to close our eyes together and we're going to take 5 really deep breaths into this posture. Keep your spine nice and long, keep your sit bones on the ground, and let's begin our breaths. Now walk your hands very slowly back towards the body, draw the knees in towards the chest, give them a little hug. Let's take our hands behind us and just roll from side to side. So we're doing a little bit of a windshield wiper move here, just to release those hips before we go into our next pose. So our next pose is going to be deer pose. Now this is a really beautiful posture because it offers a hip opener as well as an inner rotation of the opposite hip. So you'll see what I mean. There's not many poses that offer both. So what we're going to do, we're going to take this front leg at a 90-degree angle with the mat. We're going to engage the foot, so the foot is facing forwards. We want our knee almost in line with the hip and our heel in line with this knee. So it's like a 90-degree angle. Then we're taking this back leg and we're doing the same with the back leg. So the back leg, the hip is in line with the knee and the knee is in line with the foot. Okay, so you've got this, I don't know what you call this shape, but anyway, it's almost like two little half squares, let's say that. So you can just stay up on the fingertips and sort of try to press down towards the ground. So keep this front leg, the front leg, make it your right leg, just so that we can explain it a little better together. So if you've got it the opposite way round, then just swap, so the front leg is the right leg. So this left leg, you're going to try to push that hip down towards the ground, and you can even just stay here, seated up nice and tall, or you can start to walk forward over the front leg, getting deeper into this hip opener. So there's quite a few variations of this pose, and I'm going to show you two different variations. This is one where we can just come over the front leg. You can always come down onto the forearms or onto your cushion, or you can stay up on the fingertips. Just trying to push the hips down towards the ground. Wherever you are, we're going to close our eyes, keep both of the feet engaged. So both feet are engaged, they're not pointed or anything, just to protect the knee. Let's close our eyes and take our 5 deep breaths in this variation. Now come on up, and we're going to take our hands over towards the right side of the mat. So towards the opposite side of the right knee. Now you can take your cushion. We can either take a little twist, just seated up nice and tall. This will actually get you a little deeper into this hip internal rotation. So you may feel a bit of a stretch down the left hip flexors, as well as perhaps a little bit in the bum of this right leg as well. Depending on where your tension is, make sure that you're rotating from the thoracic spine, so you're not rotating from the lumbar spine, from the lower back. And you can just stay here, or you can take your prop and start to lean with a little bit of this rotation, with this twist, down onto the forearms, onto your prop. And here we're going to take 5 deep breaths once again. One more deep breath. And come on up. Let's release the legs. So very slowly, come back to center. We're going to use our arms to bring that top leg up and over. And let's take it over to the other side. So once again, find your leg placement. So make sure that this left foot is parallel with the mat. You've got your knee in line with the hip. You've got your foot in line with the knee, and the same with the back leg. You've got your knee in line with the hip, the foot in line with the knee. So let's come down for our first variation. You can always just stay up, trying to push this right hip down towards the ground, or you're going to walk your hands forward, perhaps come down onto the forearms over this front leg. And let's take our 5 deep breaths. And come on up, grab your prop, pop it on this left side of your mat, and you can always just take a little gentle twist, staying up nice and tall, looking over towards the left, or you can start coming on down towards this prop, maybe taking your forearms, taking a twist over this prop, enjoying this. You can even remove the prop and come all the way down to the floor if you have the flexibility. And from here we're going to take our 5 deep breaths. So gently from here, let's walk ourselves back up if you are on your forearms. Remove your prop out the way and bring your leg, this right leg, back towards the left. Now we're going to go into our next posture. So come onto your hands and knees, and we're going to come down for pigeon pose. Now this is where your prop may come in really handy. Pigeon pose can be really tough for a lot of people. So lift up as if you're going to go into downward facing dog, and we're going to take our right leg out long in front of us, taking the shin down towards the ground. Now, the more parallel the shin is with the top of the mat, the harder this pose is going to be. So you can allow that foot to come closer down towards the crutch. We're going to start sending the back foot out long behind us. Now you may want your prop underneath this right hip, and you're just going to stay up on the fingertips here in pigeon if this is enough of a stretch. What you want to do with the foot is to engage it, but you're going to point, imagine you're pointing the foot, then you're engaging the toes. So the toes are still pointing up towards the long edge of the mat. You want to make sure your hips are squared off with the front of the mat, so you're not lifting up through one leg. If you are, then you need to prop your hips a little higher. You can always stay here, or you can remove your prop and you can come all the way down onto the right hip. You'll also feel a stretch in the psoas muscle on the left side, so it's not only about the hip opener here on the right. And then just play around with how open you want this knee to be. As I say, the more squared off it is with the front of the mat, the harder it's going to be. So choose any variation. You can stay up on your prop, you can stay up on your hands, or you can come down to your forearms, or perhaps even come all the way down into sleeping pigeon, where you take your arms out long in front of you and bring your forehead down to the ground. But today I'm only going to go as far as my forearms. So look straight down towards the ground if you're on your forearms. If you're on your fingertips, look straight ahead. Keep those hips squared. We're going to close our eyes and we're going to take our 5 deep breaths. And push yourself up on your last breath. Tuck the toes of the back foot, and we're going to send our hips back for a little downward facing dog. You can always give your feet a little walk out just to release that hip that you've stretched. And we're going to do the same on the opposite side. So we're going to start to bend forward, bringing the shin of the left leg down towards the ground. Now remember, grab your prop it under your hip, or maybe even raise your hip as much as needed. Very, very slowly start to send yourself down towards the mat. Just play around with how open you want the hip to be, how parallel you need it to be to the front of the mat to work for your body. You can stay up on the fingertips. You can just close your eyes here. Keep those shoulders away from the ears, drawing the shoulder blades towards each other at the back of the spine. Or you can come all the way down to the forearms, or all the way down to sleeping pigeon. The choice is yours. Make sure you're keeping that foot engaged, so you're keeping those toes pointing towards the top end of the mat. Wherever you are, try to keep your spine nice and long. We're going to close our eyes and we're going to take 5 really deep breaths. In and out of the nostrils, sending those inhales to the depths of the belly, and exhaling, we're going to lift up through the pelvic bowl and engage the core. On your last inhale, let's start to walk ourselves back up. We're going to send it back for downward facing dog, tucking the back toes, remove your prop and send your hips up and back just so you can walk your dog, walk out those hips. We've got 2 more poses to go. So now we're going to do a hip closing off pose. So bring your knees down to the ground, open up the feet wider than hip distance apart. The feet can be as wide as your mat. Take your prop and you can sit back between those heels, so knees together, sitting between the heels, keeping the hips propped up for our hero pose. Now you can just stay here propped up onto a cushion or something. You can even prop up a little more if this is still not accessible. And you're just going to sit up nice and tall and enjoy this pose. If you don't need your prop, then you can just sit between those heels all the way down towards the mat. Make sure there's no pain at all in the knees. If there is, then prop the hips up onto your prop. Now you can stay here just seated all the way down on the ground, or there's 2 more steps that you can go if you have the flexibility. You can start to come down to the forearms. You can just stay here. Or we can go all the way down towards the spine and lie flat on the back, just opening up through the palms and relaxing into the pose. So any of those variations, choose the one that works for you, and everybody close your eyes. We've got our 5 deep breaths to do. On your last breath, if you're all the way down on your spine, you're going to bring your hands back towards the heels of the feet. You're going to lift yourself up onto your elbows and then make your way back into your seat. Release the legs, come forward and extend the legs out long in front of you. We're all going to slap our feet against the ground, and we've got our last pose of the day, which is Happy Baby. This is one of my favorite hip openers. It's really relaxing. If it's not accessible, then I'm going to give you another variation. So I'm going to show you full Happy Baby, and then I'm going to show you the easiest variation if you would like it. So we're going to roll all the way back down onto our spines. We're going to open our knees as wide as our shoulders. You can even just stay here if you would like to. You can bring the feet together and you can pull those knees down towards the armpits. This is fine. This is a different variation of Happy Baby. It's not quite there yet. Or you can send your feet up to the sky, taking the arms on the insides of the legs, and you can grab onto the shins, the ankles, or for the full variation, you're going to grab onto the outer edges of the feet. You're going to keep the knees stacked with the heels, and you're going to start pulling those knees towards your armpits. So if this is not accessible, just stay in the variation, keeping the feet down and pulling the knees towards the armpits. Or you can take half Happy Baby, extending through one leg, and just trying with one leg at a time. So you can try to grab the inner thigh, you can grab the outer edge of the foot and just pull one leg down. Just try to allow the opposite hip to stay down on the ground, so you're keeping both your sit bones on the ground. Whichever variation you're doing, you want to try to keep your spine flat against the ground. You're keeping your tailbone down towards the ground as well, so don't lift up through the hips too much. If you are, then you need to take a little bit more of a beginner version. So wherever you are, close your eyes. You can even do some movement. You can rock from side to side very gently, massaging the lower spine, or you can just be still, closing the eyes, pulling those knees towards the armpits. Let's take our 5 deep breaths. For those of you that are in half Happy Baby, take 3 deep breaths and then swap over to the other side. On your last exhale, let's release the feet down towards the ground. Keep the knees elevated, and we're just going to rock from side to side, windshield wiping the legs once again. And then bring the heels of the feet together, allow the hips to fall open. And then bring the heels of the feet together and just allow the hips to fall open, taking your hands to the belly. Close your eyes. Enjoy a moment here. You can stay here resting as long as you like. If you would like to come up, then make your way up into a comfortable seat. And I really hope you guys have found this helpful. I hope you've enjoyed these poses. If you have, let me know in the comments. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, to subscribe and to share. So until next time, everybody, have a wonderful day. Namaste.